It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends it. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! Did he get it?
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome on in. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker here on the Full Court Press. 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, streaming on 1069thefan.com and on the 1069 The Fan mobile app. And if you want to chime in and be a part of the show, you can always call in 435-752-1069, or you can text the show 435-339-0321. If you want to be part of our text club today, and covering a lot of different topics. Utah State football. We've got just some confirmations, official, help filling out the quarterback room for the Utah State Aggies. A game on the upcoming football schedule will be nationally televised on a network that I don't know if the Aggies have ever been on for a football game before. We'll do updates on the NBA playoffs and the high school playoffs as they continue today for a variety of different sports. So always welcome to chime in and on these topics or change the topic and set us in a different direction. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, sometimes, but we've got our schedule and we'll do our best to stick to it.
Yes, and try to get it all crammed in just 1 hour as we have moved to the summer program schedule for the Full Court Press. 4 to 5 p.m. every weekday. But let's lead off here, Jason, where we've heard some of these quarterbacks making visits to Utah State. C.J. Tiller made a visit a little while ago. Utah State made that official last week. And then we had heard about Jacob Conover making a visit. It appears that has now become official as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of smoke with both of these guys being interested in Utah State. C.J. Tiller making that process go a lot faster than I think Conover, because I think Jacob Conover, that smoke started first.
Yeah, true.
If I remember correctly. But he didn't commit until he posted stuff on social media yesterday afternoon or evening. I can't remember if we talked about it on our show yesterday, but the Aggies adding a couple of quarterbacks to try and replenish some of their depth. Wrote something for Cache Valley Daily early today, but we'll cover that. I'll cover my opinions here. So my thoughts here are that Utah State has recovered some of the depth that they had. And I am curious to know, I want to hear from the text line, and I may end up asking, social media about this, because if you knew Utah State was going to trade Cooper Ligon, McKay Hillstead for C.J. Tiller and Jacob Conover, would you have taken that deal back on May 1st? For me, the answer would probably be no, mostly because of depth, but it's not like it's a horrible trade. Because you do lose some of the potential to have quality backups for this season. I don't know if there's if Spencer Petras goes down, I don't know if I'm confident in the quarterback room to perform at the level necessary to be anything more than a 6-6 team. But you do have potential down the line. I think especially from C.J. Tiller. I know Jacob Conover, he came out as either a 4-star or fringe 4-star. I think he spent time above and below being a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. He's now 4 years removed from being that recruit and hasn't panned out in 2 different places, BYU and Arizona State. But hey, there's potential there. It took Logan Bonner 4 years to finally break out.
That's true. Yeah.
So there's, I think, more long-term potential because Legawa is only going to be here 1 year. McKay Hillstead, probably comparable in his potential to a C.J. Tiller or at least what Jacob Conover was at one point. So you like the down the line potential of these guys, and that may have the future potential is probably more than what you were getting from Legas and Hillstead. But you do obviously lose like the this year depth, so it's a bit of a trade-off, an involuntary trade-off. Blake Anderson didn't choose this. He kind of expected to lose Legas, but didn't expect to lose Hillstead, who I think could have served as a starting quarterback. I think he could have been ready for that had the situation required it. But I don't know if Tiller or Conover are going to be that, especially because they're going to come in the fall. They have to learn the whole system. But I think in the end, the quarterback situation is fine.
Fine is probably the word I would use.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not bad. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
You were at a point where...
I'd rather have kept McKay Hillstead.
Yeah, I think...
I much rather would have kept him.
Yeah, definitely. I think...
C.J. Tiller is interesting, and I think that's going to be fun to watch. But with McKay, you knew what you had. And he was in the system. He knew the players. He knew the system. He knew the coaches. And we saw him play, and there were times that he was the better quarterback and deserved to be the starter at certain stretches last season as a true freshman. And I think he would have battled Bryson Barnes to be the number 2 quarterback. But didn't work out. He's gone. And you've got one guy who, as you said, has flamed out and hasn't really caught hold anywhere.
Yeah, twice. And another guy who was a very interesting prospect at Boise State.
So the Tiller one, that intrigues me. Conover, you need another quarterback in the room. If somebody gets hurt, can you hand off left? Can you hand off right? Can you just not take a sack?
That's basically what both of these guys did when they were put in the game, like the handful of times they got in. Like Tiller started for Boise State in the LA Bowl, and I think he threw 21 passes in a game that Boise State would end up losing. So, and then Conover, I think a couple of times was in the game for Arizona State. Played for BYU, actually played against Utah State. That's actually the funny thing about both these guys is they've both appeared against Utah State and thrown passes against them.
Right.
Or at least, well, actually, I don't know if Tiller actually threw a pass against Utah State. You'd think I know. I just barely wrote about this and was researching it today. But they did both play against Utah State, and I think they both threw passes. I'd have to double-check that with Tiller. But, yeah, I think the depth situation is about as solved as it's about as good as you could hope it was going to be, because it was never an ideal situation losing the kind of depth Utah State lost. You lost 100% of the experience or the snaps that were played last year. At one point you did have 4 starting caliber quarterbacks. You lost 2 of them, the 2 that knew the system, and now you're dealing with 4 transfers. Like when I created the little header graphic for the article, it's like all the quarterbacks for Utah State, and none of them are wearing a Utah State jersey.
Yeah, that's bonkers. Every quarterback in that room will be new, from a freshman, true freshman, to 4 transfers.
Zeke Payne's still around.
Well,
he was on the roster last year.
He was on the roster last year. Okay.
Didn't take any snaps. Obviously was never going to come close to taking snaps. He's like an emergency quarterback. But yeah, it's a completely new room. It's not an ideal situation. But I think with Spencer Petras having earned the job, that's the thing that gives you the most peace, calm, whatever you want to say, optimism over the situation, is that Spencer Petras earned the job. And
over the 2 guys who are already here.
Yeah, and everything behind that, like what you're losing isn't necessarily the competence, the top, because obviously with quarterback, in an ideal world, it's a 1-person position group. That's the ideal world. And everyone else is just there to be human victory cigars. Or come in for one play because your quarterback lost his helmet for a second. Like, if Spencer Petras stays healthy, we don't have to have a conversation about any of these guys, except for the fact that maybe they came in and threw a couple of passes in blowout minutes. So that's the thing you can be optimistic about, is that Utah State kept its best guy in the quarterback room, at least according to Blake Anderson. He believes Petrus is the best guy. They held on to that guy. As far as the depth, yeah, they're worse off for depth than they were at the start of the spring. You can't argue against that, and I'm not going to try. There's no reason to say that. But in the end, they're okay. They're fine. Most teams don't have multiple starting caliber quarterbacks, so you just kind of hope they do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just kind of a strange turn of events over the last month with how Utah State's quarterback room has developed. But look, we kind of joke about Conover's on-field, in-game experience, which isn't much. But here's a guy who has been a part of some Power 5 programs. He has benefited from development. And I don't know that he's going to come in and challenge for a starting role or even a backup role.
I'd be surprised.
But he's going to be somebody who can help the team, help the second unit. He can be the scout squad guy who's going to be a decent quality quarterback to prepare the team for their upcoming opponents.
Yeah, I'd be really surprised if either of these guys even come close to challenging for the starting job. That would absolutely floor me. I think really what it is Bryson Barnes. Barnes was like fourth string quarterback for the Aggies in spring, and he's suddenly been elevated to the primary backup. And I think given he spent spring like as thin of a margin as it is, it's still a margin that he has over these other two guys. He may or may not hold on to that backup job. Maybe Conover ends up being the backup quarterback.
Or Tiller.
Yeah, or Tiller. It's iffy. There might be some battle for backup, and that'll be something to keep an eye on in fall camp, going to practice, watching scrimmages. Who's the backup? I suspect Barnes, but that's just based off of the fact that he's sort of an incumbent. I don't want to call him an incumbent because he's been at Utah State
here a few months.
You can count on your fingers and thumbs how many months or how many weeks he's been with Utah State. One hand. You can count on one hand the number of months he's been in this program, and suddenly you have to consider him an incumbent for the backup spot. It's kind of weird. But yeah, I think there's some potential for competition in the backup spot, but it's going to be Petrus' job to lose. And again, in an ideal world, we don't have to have these conversations about who's coming in, who's the best option. Like if Petrus goes down, at the end of a game, like who's the starter for next week? You hope you never have to have that conversation. You hope that Petrus just plays 99% of snaps, and you never have to worry about the next man up. Unfortunately, that hasn't really happened in any of Blake Anderson's seasons. The closest you really come to that was 2021, because while there were split snaps early in the season, that was a deliberate choice. They were deliberately splitting snaps between Logan Bonner and Andrew Peasley. Once he won the job, there wasn't any worry about quarterback. He was playing every meaningful snap until the one game, which you're generally okay if. Like you have your backup quarterback, even if he's not really ready, if he only has to play half a game, whatever, that happens.
Right.
But the 2 seasons after that, the Aggies have started 3 quarterbacks at least one game for 2 straight seasons, having had 4 quarterbacks play meaningful snaps each of the past 2 seasons.
Yeah, history tells us that Blake Anderson needs a lot of available quarterbacks.
Yeah, and maybe the offensive line will be a little more competent as far as keeping pressure off the quarterback, limiting the number of hits. Especially because Petrus ain't that mobile. He's not as mobile. And maybe it'll help because he's not really going to be a running quarterback. I know they're going to run him some because they ran Logan Bonner on some design runs, and he's not a mobile quarterback. But these guys are still athletes. It's not like they're literal statues back there. They can move their legs. But
yeah,
the fact that
not
he's
as fast as some guys, but they can be somewhat mobile.
Yeah, and he's not a natural runner. That was one of Laga's strengths. He was a solid natural runner. Petrus isn't going to be getting out of the quarterback, isn't going to be going off and running, isn't going to take as many hits. Ideally, maybe that'll help him. Of course, Logan Bonner took 1,000,000 hits. Just he was a tough son of a gun.
Yeah, he just kept getting back up. 9315 texting into the Full Court Press text line. I would take CJ over McKay, but that's it.
Yeah, you can certainly debate, CJ Tiller and Conover being as good, if not better. You can have that debate, as good, if not better, than McKay. No real need to split hairs over that. They're all decent prospects. But there's nothing compared with losing Lega. But I think in that sense, that being expected, like for Anderson, he expected to lose Lega. So I think if you're Anderson, you're looking at the situation saying, yeah, this is an absolute win. Yeah, I lost McKay Hillstead, but then I got a guy like C.J. Tiller and even a guy like Conover who doesn't have as much eligibility left, but 3-4 years and 3 at BYU, 1 at Arizona State. Yeah, that's a guy that can maybe step in a pinch as long as he learns the system. So I think Anderson's probably really happy. I think given where we were in the spring, we're not as happy because you thought you were going to have 4 starting caliber quarterbacks. Well, you don't. You have 1, and I'm not as sure on Bryson Barnes as I used to be. So
4781. Give me Uncle Rico, and we'll go undefeated.
Bryson Barnes is Uncle Rico. I'm just going to say that. Like, he's your Uncle Rico.
Uncle Rico. But can Bryson Barnes throw that ball over that mountain?
I bet he can. He will get in at quarterback, and then he will try and throw a pass to Jalen Royals, but it will end up going over the mountains.
Go get it, young man.
And Jalen Royals will somehow go and catch it.
And still get his feet in bounds.
Yeah, so
435-339-0321. Quarterback depth chart looking like it's now officially set. So 4 transfers and a redshirt freshman for the quarterbacks at Utah State University. How are you feeling about the depth and the talent and ability of that group of quarterbacks to lead Utah State to victories? Is it enough? No real internal development guys in this group are relying on somebody else's development of these players and being able to fit in and adapt to what Blake Anderson and his staff are trying to accomplish with the most important position on the field.
9-5 saying, don't forget what a pig farmer at an agricultural school can do. Yeah, but with
Fair
quarterback, point. With it being such an important position, it is obviously the first and in some people's mind, the last question you ask about an offense. Is your quarterback good? It is zero coincidence that Utah State's best years in the last decade, which, other than some years in the 1960s, are just the best seasons in Utah State history. They all coincide with not just a good season by a quarterback, but a record-breaking season. Chucky Keaton in 2012, Jordan Love 2018, Logan Bonner 2021. All of those record-breaking seasons from quarterbacks. Now, there are more factors into why, because a lot of those guys would have had great weapons around them. But look at this offense. There are great weapons around the quarterback position. Jalen Royals, an NFL-caliber wide receiver. Dude's going to get drafted next fall. Razul Faison, good running back. Potential 1,000-yard rusher if he ends up with a larger share of the carries this season than the 102 he got last season. You got Robert Briggs behind him. So you got a good 1-2 punch at running back. So I know Petrus may not do a bunch of running, but he can certainly do a lot of handing off to some pretty good runners in their own right.
And he comes from a system that likes to throw to the tight ends, and Utah State has some really solid tight ends coming back.
They've got some decent and experienced tight ends. Josh Sturgill got a lot of experience. Brock Lane, a pretty solid receiving tight end, athletic, big, improving, and has been a little healthier than first couple years where he struggled to stay healthy and couldn't get on the field. And beyond Royals, a couple of tight ends, you've got Mike Davis, who obviously showed in somewhat limited time that he could be an explosive slot receiver, even an outside receiver. Colby Bowman, Otto Tia. This offense is loaded with skill position talent. Need to see about the offensive line, but also along with the offensive line, we need to see what the quarterback can do. If Spencer Petrus has the talent, he can be the guy. He can be the next quarterback to set a bunch of records. I don't know if he's going to do that because didn't predict Logan Bonner was going to do that. We weren't sure if Jordan Love was going to do that or Chucky Keaton. So it might kind of come out of left field a little bit, but table is set for Spencer Petras to absolutely feast. It's going to be up to him and, the offensive line, obviously the skill position guys to repeat what they did last season. So,
right. It's maybe not so much solely on the quarterback to make things happen for Utah State offensively. It's let the quarterback get the ball to these playmakers, and they'll get it done.
Yeah. And so that's the thing is if your offensive line is good and if Spencer Petras is good enough, this will be the best offense in the Mountain West. Period. And there's going to be some good offenses in the Mountain West this season, I think, with talent returning at Boise State, Fresno State, even places like Hawaii and Colorado State. There's going to be some good, high-powered passing offenses. But that just speaks to the potential of Utah State that they can be as good, if not better, if they're able to make all these pieces fall in line.
All right, we've got to take a time out. We've got a couple more texts coming through. We'll get to those on this other side. We'll invite you to chime in if you want as well. 435-339-0321.
Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat and the Allergy Clinic now have an office located inside the Miller Medical Building in Tremonton. Every Friday, Northern Utah's premier ear, nose, and throat medical physicians and staff will provide Box Elder County a better option to be seen. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat and the Allergy Clinic are now located in Tremonton. Save time, schedule your appointment today. Go to CacheValleyENT.com. That's CacheValleyENT.com for details. Most insurance products, including Select Med, are accepted.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. I'd like to invite you to learn more about us. Since 1997, we've been Utah's premier one-stop shop for home medical equipment. What sets us apart at Alpine Home Medical is the superior level of customer service. We provide home oxygen, CPAPs, wheelchairs, scooters, breast pumps, and so much more. Come on down and get to know us.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Visit alpinehomemedical.com.
Do you have a fireplace or stove that isn't working right? Why wait until next winter to get it fixed? Get ahead of the game and get your fireplace or stove serviced now by Advanced Fireplace and Stove. They service everything from Quadra-Fire pellet stoves to heat and glow fireplaces. Get a 20% discount on your next service and labor when you mention this ad. Call 752-7272 or go to advancedfireplaceandstove.com. Advanced Fireplace and Stove, where comfort is their business.
May is Maytag month at Daryl's Appliance, and we have unbeatable deals on Maytag. This is Jay from Daryl's Appliance. Guess what? It gets better because after May 16th, you can double dip with our exclusive rebates. The more you buy, the more you save, giving you up to $500 more in mail-in rebates. Daryl's Appliance has you covered with a full selection of Maytag appliances. They're reliable and durable. Don't miss out on Maytag's month of savings at Daryl's Appliance, west on Airport Road. Hurry in today and experience the difference.
Experience Barrel and Stave on Federal Avenue, where good food, good drinks, and good people meet, using local ingredients to create the most delicious taste possible. Barrel and Stave is a cozy cocktail bar offering a large selection of wines, whiskeys, and cocktails, along with an amazing selection of bar bites and weekly chef specials, guaranteed to tantalize your taste buds. With handmade pasta nights every Tuesday and Thursdays that offer $2 off drafts. Come see what you've been missing. Barrel and Stave, Tuesday through Saturday evenings on Federal Avenue in Logan.
The logo shop, the logo stop. Advertising specialties from pros that really know. Total customer satisfaction, prices that are low. One-stop design delivered, great selection too. Customized just for you. Yeah. Shop the logo shop, the logo stop, the logo shop.
A diamond is forever and is perfect to represent your love. For those special occasions, give her a natural, one-of-a-kind diamond as unique as she is. Our exclusive brand, Neat and Brilliant Diamonds, is both beautiful and affordable with quarter-carat diamonds starting at $499. We have hundreds of sparkling diamonds at our integrity price guarantee with financing available. An investment for generations to come, Monday through Saturday 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. S.C. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block at the sign of the clock.
Northern Utah and Southern Idaho's home for sports. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker. A couple of texts that came through while we were talking about that last segment. 5338 texting in. Doug Gottlieb isn't the only guy who can do a radio show and be a college basketball head coach at the same time. Signed, Jason Walker.
I think Eric has a higher chance of being a coach in the near future.
I've got the right first
name. You've got the right name. I sent that out as a joke, most because I know two different Erics, one of whom is my brother. But yeah, I just saying Eric and Eric were going to be joining Utah State in an advisory role, and I almost added underneath as a nod to the Doug Gottlieb news. Eric Frandsen will retain his role as co-host of the Full Court Press. I figured I was getting too far, and somebody might actually believe that for some weird reason if I went that far with it.
Don't believe that. We'll get more into that detail here in just a minute, what that's a nod to. But 2305 also texting in, what choice does Utah State have? Of course it'll be okay. Go Aggies.
Yeah, it's the Aggies. It was an involuntary trade the Aggies made with losing Cooper Ligon, McKay Hillstead, and replacing them with C.J. Tiller and Jacob Conover. It's not a perfect trade. You don't get the same level of experience, especially with the team that you had from Hillstead and Ligon, but you do end up with guys who could be QBs of the future, especially Tiller. Kid's got 4 years of eligibility left. I think Conover has 2. His eligibility is kind of iffy because he was a true freshman in 2020, didn't play, so would have redshirted, but it's the COVID year. It all comes out to I'm pretty sure he's going to be a junior this season. So 2 seasons, I think, with him, 4 with Tiller. Only 1 with Petrus, and I think Barnes only has 1 more.
I need to double check that.
I never really did the math on how much time he had, mostly because I was thinking other guys, had a better chance of actually starting for the Aggies. But
I did see some things with Boise State fans saying, "Oh, C.J. Tiller, he should be changing his mind. I'm sure he's not happy about the Conover signing." It's like Tiller. I can't imagine he came here thinking he was going to be the starter, because Petrus was already named the starter. That was already publicly known that Spencer Petrus would be the starter in 2024. And Conover is not going to threaten him for that job. So the future is C.J. Tiller. Like the future quarterback, he knows he's at least right now, he's got the inside track to be the future QB1 at USU.
Yeah, he does. Like next year, he basically takes the spot, the role that McKay Hillstead had, where you don't guarantee that he's a starter, because Utah State will add a transfer quarterback next year that has experience. They will do that.
Yes.
It's not going to be...
At least one.
Yeah, at least one. Like, you are going to see one, likely multiple quarterbacks added. Not just high school, but, transfer guys who have started games at the Division I level. I'd be surprised if the Aggies didn't. And Tiller will have to fend off that kind of player. Because that's the world we're living in, is that every team is able to go try and find a starting caliber quarterback through the transfer portal, someone with experience. Homegrown quarterbacks are becoming less and less common. They're not going to completely go away because they have to come from somewhere. Like these starters you pull out of the transfer portal, they've got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But they're going to be, I think, less common, especially for Utah State. It's harder for them to hang on to quarterbacks for 2 or 3 years to develop them. So either way, Tiller, he's got a chance. He's going to be battling. Don't need to go off on a tangent and get away from that, but he will battle and will have a key role in the quarterback battle next year. Whether he wins that, we'll have that conversation in 2025.
Some other Utah State news, and it is related to basketball with the jokes that we've been getting in here. Utah State basketball head coach Jerrod Calhoun announcing today, making it official just seconds ago, that of course it was reported earlier, but Utah State made it official, sharing the details just this afternoon. But Eric Haut is joining Calhoun and will be the associate head coach. And he has spent time at Kent State, which he's coached in 5 NCAA tournaments, played in 2, including an appearance in the Elite 8 back in the day. But most recently, he's been at Northern Kentucky. He's been an associate head coach there. And so he's coming with a lot of coaching experience to help Jerrod Calhoun with the Utah State Aggies.
Yeah, it seems like a good hire. And, bringing in quality assistant coaches is probably the most underrated part of being a head coach, is having the right assistants. Great teams have good assistants. Assistants that are able to, not only, assist, it's in the name, assist with game plans, assist with, scouting other teams, assist in, coaching the players, developing players. A lot of times they're the ones having one-on-one time with these players, helping them with shooting mechanics, different aspects of the game, defense, whatnot, ball handling. And so it's important to have these good assistants, and you often see the good ones get poached and the good ones end up becoming head coaches, and there's a reason for that. So, yeah, it looks like Jerrod's put together a decent staff. Seems to have an affinity for coaches named Eric, but granted, there's only 2 of them. It wasn't like Craig Smith, who seemed to have an almost weird affinity for people who were bald.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the entire staff and one of the players was bald.
Yes, that's right.
But still, yeah, just a little funny where you get a couple guys named Eric Haut, Eric Brown, both on the staff, which seems to be completed at this point. It'd been reported in a bunch of different places, but it's, unofficially official. Or I guess officially official.
It's officially
now.
official now.
And women's basketball also pretty much.
Because they added their coaching staff.
Yeah,
too.
they added a couple of names today, so I think their assistants most of them had been announced anyway. So Wes Brooks got the jump on Jerrod Calhoun as far as announcing his assistant coach is officially. Of course, he's also got his roster finished sooner than Jerrod Calhoun.
Yes,
so.
That's true. Now, Eric Haut, as a player with Kent State, reached the Elite 8. Well, actually, he reached the second round in 2001 and followed that up with an Elite 8 appearance in 2002. So as a player, he's got NCAA deeper into past the first weekend experience, and at least past the first round. And then as an assistant, he spent time in Northern Kentucky. He spent time at Kent State, and he's been in the Horizon League for quite a while, and now coming to join Jerrod Calhoun at USU. So kind of completing the coaching staff, still some vacancies to be filled with the roster itself. But and I would anticipate that roster's got to be getting filled here soon. A lot of these players are finding their new homes. There's still quite a few out there who haven't committed, but you're getting to the point where you want to get this roster put together so guys can start arriving in the summer, doing stuff on campus, get familiar with the altitude and the surroundings and the coaches, and start watching film. But still a few more roster spots to be filled.
Yeah. 4446 saying, do we have an average amount of assistant coaches compared to others? So I have the first half of that, but I can give you the assistant coach pool. It's $750,000 for assistant coaches, plus $150,000 for basketball ops. So, what's the title for the person? The director of basketball operations or something like that.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
There's one of the coaches that's in charge of that, or maybe a couple of other people. I don't know if there's just one person making $150,000, but probably several people, a grad assistant. But for assistant coaches, and I don't know how it's distributed, it's $750,000 for those assistant coaches between all of them. It's like 3 or 4 that'll be officially on the staff. I don't have all the other. I just got this because I did the grammar request for Jerrod Calhoun's contract, or his offer sheet technically. So I can potentially look into that, but that's not something I have right in front of me. I was able to really quickly pull up Utah State's, but I don't have everyone else's.
Let's see. That's good questions. We'll keep digging. But the coaching staff, coaching salaries, something like we're getting there. So
yeah, I'd heard that it's up. I don't think I ever actually read Danny Sprinkle's contract, which is weird because I had Craig Smith's contract and all that. I don't think I ever actually bothered doing a grammar request for Sprinkle's contract, so I never saw what that assistant pool was. But I'd heard that it had gone up, and I just kind of believed it because it sounded plausible.
Yeah. Let's see. We'll call another timeout here on the Full Court Press. You got some news about the future, I guess, national TV broadcast of an upcoming game on Utah State's football schedule, and it's an interesting network. Don't know if we've ever seen an Aggie football game on this platform, so we'll talk about that. Also, give the latest scores, updates, and what's going on with high school sports playoffs, and the baseball playoffs underway, softball playoffs. We got boys soccer and the playoffs for lacrosse getting underway as well. So try to get you up to date on all that. Some of these games happening today. Some of them are finishing up and concluding with what was taking place earlier today. And that's coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
At Cache Valley Bank, it's their people that make the difference.
Hello, I'm Ivan Cherry, Commercial Loan Officer at Cache Valley Bank. My family and I love this valley and enjoy connecting with its people and communities. I appreciate the opportunities I've had to work closely with local businesses to tailor solutions to meet their financial goals. Come visit me at our Hiram branch or give me a call and let me show you what opening an account with Cache Valley Bank can do for you. We look forward to meeting you. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Ladies, do you have your men's ring yet? We know that he got you the perfect ring, so let's get him one that will show how much you care, such as a one-of-a-kind Damascus steel, his choice of camo, or an exquisite redwood inlay. And if you really want something out of this world, come check out our meteorite rings. For the largest selection of unique men's rings, make it special, make it Jerrod's at 930 North Main in Logan.
Jerrod's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jerrod's.
Imagine your wedding day. Elegant, simple, yet stunning, stress-free. It's your day. It's all about you. Whether you're looking for small and simple or have a grander idea, the Riverwoods Conference Center will accommodate your every need. Choose the inside ballroom elegance or outside along the natural decor of the beautiful Logan River. A Riverwoods event planner will work personally with you to make sure your event is exactly how you've envisioned it. The Riverwoods Conference Center, where your happily ever after begins. Google Riverwoods Conference Center or call 750-5151.
Security. It's the most precious thing you can give your home, especially if it's guaranteed. No cheap locks, no weak keys, no inadequate hardware, just the expertise and precision and security. Beezer Lock and Key believes there's no place like a safe home, and no home safer than one secured by them. It may seem they only sell locks and keys, but what they really sell is peace of mind. Search Beezer Lock and Key or go to 4th North and 1st West and just add confidence.
She was there for you on your first day of school, and all those special moments since. Now, Mom needs you. When Mom or someone you love needs home health or hospice, give them the care they deserve. With core values of character, experience, and trust, see why we have been voted Best of Northern Utah. Contact Agis today, 435-723-9000, or find us on the web at myagis.com.
What can a business technology partner do for you? Well, a great one like Les Olson IT will help you become more efficient, more secure, and help you stay on top of your network. Plus, they have all the products and services you need. Computers, servers, business telephones, surveillance cameras, office applications are just the start. Les Olson IT's network cabling team can help you build a network from scratch or improve your existing network. Learn more about your office technology partner at lesolson.com.
Les Olson IT.
Hi, this is Bob Larson with LSS Insurance. You're invited. Come learn how to make an informed decision for your retirement, Medicare, and Social Security benefits. It's never too early to plan for the future. The third Thursday, May 16th at 7 p.m., come to a free seminar at our office by the North Walmart. It's free and extremely informative. Call 752-9493 to RSVP. Call LSS Insurance 752-9493. Come learn about your Medicare options the third Thursday, May 16th.
The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker. And looks like it's just gone final. Bear River walloping on Ridgeline 15-8 in the 4A baseball playoffs. And that eliminates Ridgeline from the playoffs. Bear River, they are still alive. They will play the winner of Dixie versus Desert Hills. That's number 1 versus number 4. They play each other tonight. Bear River plays the loser of that matchup tomorrow at 1:30.
Yeah, I guess it's good for Bear River getting kind of that last laugh where they lost the regular season series to the Riverhawks, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to remember across 6 or 7 different sports that are happening this spring, but I believe they lost that series 2-1, which pretty much ended up deciding the Region 11 title in baseball. So Riverhawks ended up with the region title, but Bear River now advancing beyond in the 4A playoff. So still going strong as the last Region 11 team standing in the baseball playoffs.
Yeah, both Ridgeline and Bear River lost their games yesterday, so they both got knocked into the consolation bracket, and Bear River getting the best of Ridgeline today, so they're still alive, but will have to face either the number 1 team or the number 4 team overall. For softball, those games get underway tomorrow. It'll be Ridgeline versus Hurricane at noon, and Bear River will take on Desert Hills. That's also going to be at noon tomorrow.
Yeah, 2 very good teams. Ridgeline especially as pretty much the best team. They ended up number 1 in the RPI, didn't they? Or were they number 2? Ridgeline.
Ridgeline number 1 in softball.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So they're looking like, the title favorites. But certainly Bear River can't be discounted. They've been a very good softball program and have been pretty good this year. So expecting for baseball, it seems unlikely you get a Region 11 team that goes far. They've kind of underperformed in the 4A playoffs for a little bit. But in softball, going strong with 2 of the best in the state.
Yeah, and boys soccer playoffs, they get going today. They're underway right now, actually. They started at 4 o'clock. Ridgeline taking on Mountain View. Green Canyon taking on Provo. Logan hosting Uinta. And then Mountain Crest on the road at Murray. So try to get some scores on those before we close up shop today. And then we'll also have boys lacrosse playoffs, the first round, starting this afternoon. Those games are at, some of these games are all over the place. Some are at 4, some are at 5, 6, and 7. So it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it's the one sport where, like, every other sport, it's like all games, same time. In this case, it's way all over the place.
Yeah, so Skyview, Mountain View taking place now. Bear River at Waterford, also starting at 4 o'clock. Ridgeline hosting Jordan, that's scheduled for 7. And Mountain Crest at Green Canyon, that's at 7. Logan at Payson, that's scheduled for 5. And I guess I think that's everybody. So all over the place for boys lacrosse today in the opening round of the boys lacrosse playoffs. And then for girls lacrosse, those get going on Thursday. So girls have a few more days before their opening round playoffs get going. So that's your update on what's going on with the local high school playoff scene. And for games underway, we'll try to get some scores and pass those along if we can. 8968 texting in. I believe the Aggies played Nebraska on national TV back in the late 70s. Actually gave them a good game at that. They were in it at the end and made it exciting.
Wasn't that when Nebraska was like national title contender? Like it was like one of the cases where Nebraska was ranked like number 1 or number 2 or something like that?
Could have been.
So I think of the few times Utah State's played like the number 1 team in the AP poll, I think Nebraska was one of those, but it may not have been in this case.
Yeah, Aggies have been fortunate to be on national broadcasts several times, especially the last 10 years.
Yeah, national TV, they've being in a conference like the Mountain West, which gets some games on national television, it's better than the consistently 0.
Yes.
And for instance, there's a lot of Utah State football history that you're not sure there are games, you're not sure that it's actually on film. Some of the games of the last 20 or so years, maybe right before they were in the Mountain West, I don't know, let's go digging in the Utah State archives. There might be film of those games.
Yeah, but news today, future game for Utah State, which will be nationally televised, but on a network that I don't know that the Aggies have ever been on before. And that's when Utah State will play Washington State on November 9th. And that game will be in Pullman. We don't know if it's going to be a 1:30 kick time or an 8:30 kick time, but we do know it'll be on the CW.
It'll air right after the Flash and just before the Arrow.
Yeah, so the Pac-2, they're still calling it the Pac-12, but they announced today their home football schedules will be on the CW. They'll still have a few games that could appear on Fox or FS1, but pretty much all of their home games will be on the CW. And I know the ACC has been doing some things with the CW, so they're trying to establish themselves as an alternative national network, which is in a lot of homes. I just don't think people really think of the CW as a place to find local sports.
Yeah,
that's national sports.
That's like in your basic cable package is the CW. It's almost like public television. Like me at home, we didn't really have full on cable. That was one of the few channels we had. But it was playing Criminal Minds in the Flash. It was playing drama television, in not sports. It may have had soccer actually on there. I think I watched an RSL game on the CW once.
Wow.
Maybe. I may be misremembering that, but I feel like it might have happened. But yeah, it's interesting, but it's just the way it is, and that's kind of where the Pac-2 is in dire straits, where they're literally having games on the CW.
Yeah, but it is an interesting move. The only reason they don't know the kick time is they're just waiting to see matchups.
Yeah, they're just waiting to see if it's any good. If Utah State and Washington State are both good. Well, actually, I don't know which one they'd prefer. They put the good teams at 1:30 and the bad teams.
So the other game that day for Oregon State is Oregon State versus San Jose State. So they will look to see which is going to be the more interesting matchup: Utah State, Washington State, or San Jose, Oregon State. Because one will have midday, middle of the day viewing, and one will be more in the evening, which is still a solid time, but. For us, selfishly, I'd prefer the 1:30 kick time.
Yeah, I'd prefer that. And I think, for Saturdays, that's a better time because there's more people that might be watching. Maybe. I'm not a TV broadcasting executive or expert, so I don't even know which one is generally preferred. But for fans, I think they generally prefer the 1:30. And especially you're more likely to get East Coast viewers. So,
yes.
And that's probably where the 131 is likely the more advantageous one because you're more likely to get people who are still awake and not, already sawing logs over on the East Coast.
Right. That's why I would prefer the 1:30 also.
So that's probably where, and with Utah State and Washington State, I think it will be a more interesting matchup, but that's just based off off-season hunches. We'll get into that later this week. But
yeah. So kind of interesting announcement with the Pac-12. They did release a statement today. Their commissioner, Teresa Gould, were thrilled to announce these national partnerships with the CW and Fox. Oregon State and Washington State football student-athletes deserve this elite stage. That's probably the only time someone has ever said the CW is an elite stage.
It is not.
As they continue competing for the college football playoff, Beaver and Cougar fans have a great opportunity to enjoy their team's successes. Okay. 2 games for Oregon State and Washington State will air on Fox or FS1.
So that's where it's solid. You can still be on Fox and FS1. Those are
so they
channels
still get good national coverage for their football teams.
But having half their games on the CW, it's
and they only need to share that revenue between 2 teams, not 12.
Yeah, but it's like when you're saying, oh yeah, they're gonna have a lot of pull and they're gonna tear the Mountain West apart because teams are gonna be so desperate to join Washington State and Oregon State because of all the pull they have. It's this is the pull they have. Most of the pull they have is just the name Pullman.
I'd be curious to know if anybody has watched a football game on the CW. I have no idea what their announcers are like, what their production value is like.
Do they have a sports department?
If anyone has seen a game on the CW, I'm curious to see how it went.
I feel like they're just going to unless they have one. Maybe I'm not giving the CW enough credit, but I feel like they might just outsource it because I don't even know if they have one.
Yeah, I have no idea. I got to take a time out here in the Full Court Press, but when we come back, the stat that blew our minds and our player of the week.
Do you have a backup generator, or have you explored the options of adding one to your home? Generac backup generators will keep your home or business safe and cool during the summer months if the power goes out. Do you already have a system? Golden Spike Electric can service it for you. If you don't have one, Golden Spike Electric can find the right model for your needs. Find them online at gsegenerators.com or call 435-257-3016. Golden Spike Electric and Generac, power you can count on.
Summer in Cache Valley is beautiful, and the Sportsman on Main Street has all your bike needs covered. Get your bike in now for service or a tune-up. We can usually get your service done in about 2 days. Be ready for the beautiful riding days ahead. If you need a new bike, we have kids to adult full suspension mountain bikes and e-bikes for around town or the mountains. From bikes to helmets to locks and clothing, come and see us at the Sportsman on Main Street in downtown Logan for all your biking needs.
When it comes to home care, it's important to know you have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of hospice or home health services, remember that Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient as well as the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Visit us at primrosecare.com or call to schedule a free consultation. Primrose Home Care and Hospice, your local hospice and home health provider since 2006.
This is Nate Lamson with Valley Office Systems, your home team when local matters. Valley Office Systems is your local provider for all things office, copiers, printers, furniture, and document management. Proudly serving Cache Valley since 2007. Visit valleyofficesystems.com.
Talking the sports you care about. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Is your four-wheeler ready to go? How about your side-by-side? It's nice and warm. I know we've had these little thunderstorms rolling through, but it's still great to get out and have fun. Make sure it's operating properly, and you can do, the folks at Napa can make sure you're doing that right. Spark plugs, air filters, batteries. We got 5 different locations between Preston and Providence. That's Napa Auto Parts. So on Tuesdays, we share a stat that blew our minds, and we shout out a certain player of the week. For the sake of time, Jason, I'm going to forego the fancy music and stuff like that and the sounders. But let's start off with the player of the week. Is there a certain player who stood out to you with their achievements this past week?
Chicho Arango.
Chicho.
2 goals against the LA Galaxy. I know it ended up as a 2-2 draw. Disappointing for RSL as they led 2-0 at halftime. Gave up pretty much a last-second stoppage time goal to give a draw. It was on the road, so you get a point on the road, but disappointing that you couldn't get all 3 points. But still, Chicho with 2 first-half goals. Another brace, he's up to 11 goals, 7 assists on the year. So he's
very solid.
He's in the MVP conversation. I know he's probably not going to win it because you got guys like Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez down in Miami. But Arango's probably going to get at least some votes for that MVP, especially if he keeps playing this way.
For me, I'm giving it to Logan Hammer from Utah State University from their track and field team. He set a Mountain West and a Utah State record at the conference championships with the men's pole vault, 5.62 meters. It's a lot of feet.
How does he not do the hammer throw?
Very high. So, yeah, he should, right? He's playing the wrong sport with that name. And then a stat that stood out to you?
Mainly I believe it was 6.5% chance the Jazz had to drop to where they did. That's the stat that blew my mind. The minuscule chance that the Jazz had to drop in the lottery, and they did.
They did.
The same chance they had to win the number 1 overall pick, and it went the other way instead.
They went reverse. I saw this one kind of stood out to me. 15 years ago, the Orlando Magic averaged 27.3 3-point field goal attempts per game, and they led the NBA. This past season, the worst team in the NBA attempted 31.2. That's the Denver Nuggets. And this Denver Nuggets team, interestingly enough, have fought their way back to a 2-2 series tie after being down 0-2. And both teams winning on the road. That's been a very interesting series, Denver and Minnesota.
Yeah, it has. You've got 2 NBA series that I believe started 2-0. I think Knicks were up 2-0 over the Pacers. Timberwolves up 2-0 over the Nuggets. And both those series are tied 2-2. I have 3 series that are tied 2-2. Granted, the Dallas-Oklahoma City's been more back and forth.
Yeah. So this has been pretty fun second round in the NBA. That's going to do it for us tonight. We'll get into more of the NBA playoffs tomorrow and any other new developments with Utah State basketball and updates on the high school sports playoff scene throughout 4A. Until then, have a great night, everybody.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. In sports, there tends to be a clear winner and loser of every trade, or at least that's what we ask. It's rare that both teams come away happy with the results. But after dealing Matthew Stafford to the LA Rams in exchange for Jared Goff and 2 first-round draft picks, it's hard to pick a winner or loser from the 2021 blockbuster. After years of banging on the door of a Super Bowl, Stafford led the Rams to the title his first year there. The Lions' haul took a little bit longer. Goff struggled to start his career in Detroit, but after hitting on players like Jahmyr Gibbs and All-Pro Sam Laporta via picks from the Rams, Detroit rode that momentum they built to the conference championship appearance. And yesterday, that massive success solidified Jared Goff's future after the team awarded him a 4-year, $212 million contract. All in all, Stafford got the Rams to a Super Bowl. Goff revitalized a city. And after years of pain for both franchises, I'd say that's as much of a win-win as you're going to get in today's NFL. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.